So I spent the past week with the iPhone Air, and look, it's thinner, it's lighter, it feels amazing in the hand, but most people have already decided that it's not worth it just because it has only one camera lens on the back. So today, I want to go through it a little bit. I want to give you some pros and cons to this little camera here. But that's not the only camera that the Air has, because we also get this new selfie camera with the square sensor. And everything that's here is exactly the same as the Pro. Now, the first pro I want to talk about is just how good this one single lens on here actually is. You get super sharp detail, accurate colors, and fantastic dynamic range on everything you shoot with this thing. When you use the main lens on this and also on the Pro, you really don't notice any difference in quality. In fact, personally with my testing, I actually ended up sometimes preferring the picture on the Air. For some reason, I was taking slightly more natural looking pictures. The cool thing is that you still get Apple's photographic styles on the Air, so you can tune the look and give them a more film-like quality, but all the photos that I've shot for this video are going to be just in the standard profile to keep things, as color accurate as possible here. Now, my second pro here is computational cropping. Now, with the Air and the camera app, we of course get the main lens, but then we also get a 2x option, and that one right there is cropping into the sensor. The interesting thing there is that, well, it's a normal crop here. Once you take the picture, it's not a normal thing. It is going to do some computational wizardry and try to give you something that is like taken as if it was an actual 2x lens. And even when I zoom in all the way to 10x, it does that magic a little bit and it ends up giving you more detail on the final picture than what you had when you took it. So you can kind of see it render whenever you take these pictures, and you end up with quite a bit of detail for a 10x digital zoom. So sometimes, depending on the conditions, a 2x or 3x zoom on the Air and even 10 times is still pretty dang good, at least for sharing in social media and sending to friends and family. Of course, if you're doing any professional work, they're gonna look a little bit jaggedy around the edges. My third pro here is that selfie camera, which is just absolutely fantastic. This in and of itself is a fantastic upgrade for anyone that's had an iPhone in the past. If you shoot any content or anything, the ability to film in actual good resolution with a front-facing camera and then also film horizontally while holding the phone vertically is a fantastic feature. I know a lot of people out there that mainly only use the front-facing cameras on their phones, and if that's the case, well then here what you have is also an ultra-wide lens basically. This wide lens here is wider than the one on the back, so when you're filming yourself, taking pictures with friends and everything, you're going to be able to fit everyone in the picture. Now, with all the photos and videos that you're going to be taking with this phone, of course, the battery is just not going to make it through the full day. That's where our sponsor for today's video comes in, ESR, with their new 3-in-1 magnetic charging station. This is their Qi 2.2 version with the 25 watt of wireless charging here with MagSafe. So it's as fast as wired charging, but wireless. And it'll charge your phone to 50% in 25 to 30 minutes with also active cooling built in here, which you can use this button right here to turn that on or off because it actually has a full-on fan in there to keep things cool. Now, one of my favorite things here is just how strong the MagSafe on this mount is, and it's even stronger if you were to pair it with one of ESR's cases. You can also charge your AirPods down here wirelessly and your Apple Watch up here, and you can even take this little station here for your Apple Watch with you to charge your Apple Watch on the go. The charging station also includes a 50-watt adapter along with the cable for this, so you get everything in just one simple package. So make sure to check out the 3-in-1 magnetic charging station from ESR down below in the description, and thanks to ESR for sponsoring this video. Now, one of the pros is also the ability that we can work through one of the cons here. Now, of course, we don't have the wide angle lens here on the phone, but there's actually two ways to kind of cheat the system a little here. The first one's going to be if you just go into panorama, and of course, you can just take a panorama of the thing that you're taking a picture of for as long or as wide as you want it to be. So you just turn that phone and then stop it when you want it. So for any landscape, any building photography, you could turn the phone like this and do the panorama upward. And that's going to basically give you that kind of effect. No, it's not going to be the same, but it's still going to give you some really cool pictures. Now, the second way to do it is actually to use the selfie camera as the front camera. So just basically turn the phone around whenever you go to take a picture of something, use that selfie camera with that wide mode enabled there, and you're going to get a slightly larger field of view with that, which actually works really well. And still, since the quality is from that new selfie camera, it's actually going to be kind of better quality than what you would get from the wide angle camera on the actual pros, which is interesting. The fifth pro here is that you're still getting fantastic video stabilization. This thing is super thin, but somehow everything is still fantastically stabilized. And so if you're jogging, running, or anything, the videos are still going to look really good. And even better than that, in my opinion, is the fact that you're still going to get action mode to get some really cool and unique shots. And the last thing, which is one of the most obvious things, is how thin and light this phone is. And that is quite important. When you're holding this phone, if you're recording for 30 minutes, 10 minutes, or you give it to someone, they're not going to struggle with it. They can hold it with one hand because it's so light, and you can hold it without shaking too much. The other phones do kind of weigh a lot on both sides. So when you hold it here, you do feel that weight imbalance a little bit from this side, and it feels like not that comfortable in the hand. And this is the normal Pro. So with the Pro Max, it's a little worse. This one just doesn't weigh anything. So you just hold it and you don't really shake much, or you don't feel like you're fighting the phone. It's just so nice and light. And that's really nice. It also gives you the ability to add accessories, add cases and stuff, and not get this too bulky in comparison to the Pro models. Or even if you're putting this on a gimbal, it's just so lightweight. There's just a ton of applications for this. And now let's go ahead and get into the cons, because they're pretty significant. And if you care about versatility, that's where, of course, con number one comes in. And that's the fact, again, we have that one single lens. If you're somewhere like a zoo behind a fence where you can't really get any closer to your subject, then in those scenarios, you're kind of going to be screwed, because the digital zoom isn't going to look great if you do 10x on a giraffe. So the phone is kind of limiting you a little bit as to what you can actually do and take with it. And here's a silver lining. Sometimes you'll hear photographers out there vouch for cameras like the Fujifilm X100 and 5 because those have a single lens on them. And because of that, you can kind of focus more on the work that you're doing, and it forces you to be a better photographer. Given that the X100 was sold out for so long and it became so popular on TikTok, I do wonder why that same logic wouldn't also apply to the phone, because a lot of the photographers that I've seen aren't applying that logic to this. So yes, this lens will make you be more intentional with your photography and videography. The second con here really ends up being the fact that you have to use digital zoom, because specifically for video, it is horrible. At least with the photos, it does do that computational thing to kind of fix up the photo a little bit. But with video, that's where you really see just how bad zooming in on this is. If for some reason you want to zoom in a lot during videos, it basically does actually negate the point of having this phone. You just cannot do that with this phone. It's not going to look good at all with videos. Now, the third con here is that we're missing quite a bit of features compared to the Pro models. Now, while we are getting dual capture and action mode, we are not going to get cinematic mode, nor are we going to get the ability to do spatial captures, and you also don't get ProRes and log recordings. So that is quite a shame. That's quite a big number of features. Now, I don't believe that that's important for most of y'all out there. For me personally, I could care less about ProRes or log recording, but cinematic mode is a mode that I do like to use from time to time. It does look pretty dang good. And if you happen to have a Vision Pro and you do want to capture spatial videos, well, then the Air is not going to do that either. I don't think they're the biggest things, but worth noting in case you care about any of that. Now, the fourth con is going to be portrait mode on this, because of course, it's going to be based on just a single lens. And for portraits on this main lens, not the best thing, not the most ideal thing you want to have, mainly because the backgrounds are not going to look compressed. The shots are going to look wider and less dramatic and just a little bit casual. But if you're not shooting like actual serious portraits or anything like that, you just want family memories and things like that, this is kind of perfect for that. There's just going to be that slight difference that if they were taken with the Pro with the telephoto, they would look a little bit more quote unquote professional. Now, the fifth and last con I think is pretty important. That is the fact that we only have one speaker here at the top. Now, why does that matter? Well, if you're watching videos back that you've taken, or if you're editing your footage or content on CapCut and stuff, the audio that you're hearing back, while fine, isn't going to be the most ideal. But the reason why this is the last con is, of course, that you can just put some headphones on and that completely negates this issue. But look, overall, if you're just a casual shooter, you just have a phone and like the camera that's on there to take some pictures from time to time of the things that you need to take pictures of, this Air is fantastic. The pictures that come out of this are great. You actually don't have to worry about fuzzing around with the different lenses or anything. It's very straightforward and simple. For example, for someone like my mom, the 1x, 2x, 3x, 5x was always confusing. Sometimes less choices is just better for the user, and you're still getting fantastic video quality. You're getting a phone that is so slim that doesn't weigh anything. And so if you want just a positive spin overall on this phone, this is a minimalist's dream, because you only have one lens on there. Focus on the thing that you want to take a picture of, simplify, take a picture of it, move on. The phone's design overall just lends itself to simplicity. It just looks calmer than something like the Pro. The Pro, when I look at it, just drives me crazy. Look at that. It is something that is just a joy to use. And even me, with all my love for technology and everything, I would have kept this phone. I would daily this phone if it wasn't for the fact that I actually have to keep going back to the Pro for potential videos that I have to make on this channel. And I definitely don't want to just own 2 iPhones all the time. That just seems frustrating to me. And that is really the main reason. Now, the second reason here is that I love to take macro shots of bugs and stuff like that, textures. I do like using the macro camera, but really, if it wasn't because of this video that I'm making right now and the videos I'll make in the future, I would have just switched to the Air. And I did for like 5 days. I fully committed to the Air and I was like, no, I got to keep this. But after that, I was like, no, what am I going to do for the future videos and everything? I would have to have a Pro on hand to compare them to the future Samsung phones and all that. And so, yeah, this is a really, really nice phone to own. And I personally do think it's just worth paying attention to. And if not, just waiting for that second gen when it just gets better. So let me know what you think. Would you get this phone? Are you getting this phone? Did you get it? And are you happy with it? So yeah, comment down below. That always helps the channel a ton. I always read them and check them out and try to reply. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.